Very good evening to you and welcome to the Sunday edition of Big Talk. Yeah, it's a program where we highlight major national issues and try to make sense of the discussions that we have. I hope that you are doing well and you are enjoying your Sunday. Over the week, we've had a lot of issues. We've had we saw the NEC meetings of the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, and the All Progressive Congress also have a NEC meeting. And the All Progressive Congress, after the NEC meeting, came out with a resolution which was having a former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs in the cabinet of President Bola Tinubu appointed as the chairman of the party. We weren't thinking that they will go in that direction, but that was the direction they actually, decided to go, and they decided to go for Neo Wata as the chairman of the APC, the All Progressive Congress. And we also saw from the NEC meeting of the PDP, we saw the PDP come out to read a communique. At that NEC meeting, they had the Board of Trustees members who were present. They had the governors who were present, chairman governors for Bala Mohammed of the PDP. And we saw a communique being read at the end of that NEC meeting. And the PDP came out that day with a position that their convention will be scheduled for 15th of November. That's next year at Oyo State, yes, Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. That is where their convention will be held. A very good evening to you and welcome to Big Talk on Global TV, a program where we highlight national issues and try to make sense of the discussions that have to do with Nigeria, because truly Nigeria belongs to all of us and we must join hands to make sure that Nigeria gets to where it ought to be. Let's go for a short break. We'll be right back. All right, so we saw the PDP NEC meeting, and what came out of that meeting. I did a report on that meeting. Let's see what actually happened during the PDP NEC meeting.
The People's Democratic Party (PDP) held its National Executive Committee meeting (NEC) in Abuja, with key party leaders in attendance to discuss unity, reconciliation, and preparation for the upcoming National Convention. The NEC also approved the membership of the National Convention Committee and the Zoning Committee, aimed at ensuring a transparent and credible electoral process. The PDP National Chairman Umar Damogun expressed satisfaction with the resolution of internal disputes, describing it as a demonstration of PDP's commitment to dialogue and unity. He added that the party remains united, strong, and well-positioned to offer a credible alternative as an opposition party.
Members of DOT, our commanders in the state, and our ex-officials who are present. Please permit me to stand on the already established protocol. It is with great pride and a deep sense of honor to welcome you to this 101 NEC meeting.
Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State and chairman of the PDP Governors Forum urged the gathering to strengthen efforts to rebuild the party across all levels. He reaffirms PDP's position as the only truly national party capable of providing credible leadership. Reading the communique at the end of the meeting, the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Honorable Debo Olugodoya, reaffirms party's commitment to internal reforms and discipline. He announced the decision of the NEC to caution members against holding meetings with opposition parties and reminded them that the PDP remains the only credible and viable opposition platform in the country.
Sir, NEC expressed serious concern and frowns at the reported participation and involvement of the party members in the activities, meetings, and gathering of unlawful people. Next, under the appointed the elective national convention in the next set of national officers of our party will hold on Saturday, 15th to Sunday, 16th November 2025 in the Adodio platform.
The party further called on aggrieved members to return to its fold, emphasizing the importance of unity and strategic planning ahead of the 2027 general election. Ubong Usoro for Global TV.
All right, so we saw the PDP, and just before then we saw the Labour Party also, conduct its own NEC meeting. A faction of the Labour Party, I have to say, led by Julius Abure, and we saw the vice presidential candidate of the 2023 elections, general elections, under the platform of the Labour Party, talking about no other person than Baba Ahmed. Babachi Ahmed joined Abure in that particular meeting. So I think the political parties are trying to put themselves in order, maybe because of recent we've also had reports from the SDP where the SDP has a faction of the SDP have actually, I had to come out with a report saying that the NWC is done. Yeah, the NWC is done, that they have to get a new NWC and all of that. So a lot of perspective to the issues. But tonight we want to look at Nigerian leadership. What are the problems and the prospects? And the person that will help us make sense of the discussions that we have as we still try to highlight how we can build this country. It's Barrister Atta Ikedi, who is a former media consultant to President Buhari, who will be joining us via Zoom in the UK to help us make sense of the discussions that we have for you tonight. A very good evening to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sir.
All right, so let's start with your thoughts about the death of the former president, which you were a media consultant to him, President Muhammadu Buhari, former late President Muhammadu Buhari.
The death of the former president came as a very big shock to most of us because just a few weeks ago, he was in the media, and there was a lot of media stories around him and whether his APC faction was going to support the current APC. So there's a lot of talk around him. There were pictures, there were videos, there were films. And so basically what we saw was an old man, but an old man that was very active. And then suddenly there was this news that he had passed on. So that came as a shock to so many of us, especially myself, because I worked with him as his media consultant, the Muhammadu Buhari Legacy Projects. And I was very honored to have been selected out of, obviously, a pool of media consultants from all over the country. And I really thank Mr. Femi Adesina, because he was the one that secured that pick. And I worked with the former president, and I can tell you that one of the things I noticed before I started working was the fact that a lot of his projects were unreported, a lot of his projects all over the country. And my work basically was to go into Nigeria, the wards, the villages, the communities, the states, federal capital territory, and to highlight and to bring these projects out to Nigerians, let Nigerians actually see and appreciate and understand the depth of the work that President Muhammadu Buhari had done. And it was just about that period that this gentleman, Corinne Omokri, had actually pushed out a challenge that anyone who can show him any project that Buhari has started and completed, he was going to give that person, was it $100? So I won that challenge, but I've still not got that money up till today. And what we discovered was there were actually 1,324 projects spread all over Nigeria. 1,324 projects. And these projects, from dams to roads to bridges to pensions, soft projects like pensions, paying off pensions, gratuities. I mean, Muhammadu Buhari did so much. And I'm so happy and so honored that I was part and parcel of his administration, and I was able to push this project out to Nigerians in order to appreciate the depth of the work this man had done. The thing about Buhari was, he was not a man who made too much noise, never talked about himself. He was not that chest-beating kind of fellow. So people really didn't hear too much about
what he said. Okay, yeah. Former President Muhammadu Buhari campaigned on issues bordering on corruption, issues bordering on infrastructure, issues bordering on social welfare of Nigerians. As somebody who worked closely with him, and you had the job of going to check out the projects from all of these places, will you say, in your own assessment, that he was able to keep to the campaign promises? Issues bordering on corruption, infrastructure, and nation building, security, especially, corruption, infrastructure, and security. Would you say that former President Muhammadu Buhari did well as regards those three issues?
He did. You can't, obviously, being a leader, you can't do everything or anything 100%. But I would advise anyone who is watching this to go to my wall. Go to my wall, because I actually posted some of those projects like 3 days ago. Go to my wall and see the incredible, massive projects that Muhammadu Buhari had actually put in place. This man made no noise, but he did so much. Honestly, go to my wall, and if I get like out of this program, I get like 10 people who say, look, we didn't see anything. 10 people I'm going to bring out, because I did that work for the presidency. That work started in June. I think it was the 24th of June and ended the 29th of May. I will bring out, and we work like every week, every other week, we're coming out with projects. I will come out with if I have 10 people out of this program, I'll come out with all the projects from 2022 to 2023. Now, in terms of corruption, well, the challenge Muhammadu Buhari had, and I guess the challenge of every leader, is you can be incorruptible. You can be a man who, you don't put your paws in the piggy bank, but you can't say same for those around you. And that was a challenge that I saw in his administration, that here was an honest man. Here was a man who was doing all his best. He had an integrity that I don't think any leader in Nigeria will surpass. But yet, there were people around him that were pinching, and we don't know that. So when it comes to corruption, I really wouldn't blame him. And the war on corruption did not even start when he became president. It started when he was head of state in 1983, when he took on power, war against indiscipline. So, when it comes to corruption, you cannot beat Buhari. Anti-corruption, you cannot beat him. Insecurity did not start with him. But remember, it was during his tenure that he brought back some of those Chibok girls that were kidnapped. And he was also able to, to a large extent, he was also able to secure the Northeast. Okay, and Boko Haram changed their tactics because of the amount of work he was able to do. Boko Haram changed their tactics from terrorism to banditry. It was during his era that happened. So I think he did a lot. I mean, he did. I mean, it is people like myself, Femi Adesina, and those who worked around him to really push his legacy so that Nigerians will appreciate the work this great Nigerian did.
Sure, we want to be talking about Nigerian leadership prospects and problems. It seems Nigeria is gearing towards leadership in 2027, seeing opposition going into a coalition already. Some members of opposition, because I covered the PDP neck, where the PDP said the PDP is a party on its own and it's not a part of any coalition at this time. Also, we have the Labour Party, trying to see how to rebrand itself with the Abure-led faction, going into a neck, and we saw Dati Baba Ahmed with them, and all of the talks that are around the leadership. The APC, we saw members of the APC, especially those who are in the House of Representatives and the Senate, come out to give endorsement to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it gets all of these people are looking up to 2027, because if you walk through the streets of Abuja or drive through, you see flyers already with posters with pictures of politicians, and they're already looking towards 2027. So I like that we talk about leadership in Nigeria. It isn't just about coming in 2 years, we are planning for the next election. Can we focus on leadership in Nigeria?
Well, thank you for asking me that question. I really don't like talking about politics.
Yeah.
Looks in Nigeria is just politics. Politics is like a business. Politics is, politics has become an industry in our country. And then when you really want to look at it and ask yourself, what has politics really done for this nation? You really cannot point to anything that we have been, apart from the fact that we're not under military rule. Okay, when you look at the gains, you see, we've had good governors. All right, I was also I had the singular honor and opportunity to work with Senator Godswill Obotokpabi when he was governor of Akwa Ibom State, and I saw what a governor can do within 4 years. Within 4 years, how a governor can radically change a society. Even under Governor Moino, I've seen the great change that Governor Moino has been able to inject into the social infrastructure of Akwa Ibom State. So it's really not about the time and the period it takes, because now I hear some politicians saying 4 years is not enough, we should have like a 6-year term and then that's it, you go and someone else takes over. But you see, my brother, that's not the issue with Nigeria. We still have not answered the fundamental question about what we are, who we are, and where is Nigeria among the Community of Nations. We haven't answered that question. From 1914, when Lord Lugard put us together as a nation, there has never been a time in Nigeria that our leaders have brought us together and said, look, let us answer the Nigerian question. Who is a Nigerian? What is our place in the world on this planet? We've never done that. And so what we
had the national convab that was convened by former President Goodluck Jonathan, and of recent we've had the Patriots meeting, elder statements, we've had, those kind of meetings where people come together, meet, and even produce communiques and reports at the end of the day. So we've had people coming together. The National Assembly is representatives of Nigeria from all of the states coming together to sit down and talk about a lot of issues. Are these not conversations that would have helped answer the question?
Let me ask you a question. What is Nigeria? I'm asking you as a citizen of Nigeria, what is Nigeria, apart from the fact that Nigeria is a nation with a territory with 300 tribes? What really is Nigeria? What is the ethos of Nigeria? It's not just having a talking point. It's not just having a conference and all we're talking about is fiscal responsibility, how many states we should create, is it parliamentary or presidential? No. We have to answer the fundamental question of what is Nigeria. Ghana answered that question when Nkrumah was the leader. And that was why the name of Ghana was changed from Gold Coast to Ghana. Because Ghana came to a point where it had to look itself in the mirror and say, are we a contraption of the British colonial leaders, or are we going to take our destiny in our own hands? And the point I'm trying to make, my brother, is this, is that from 1914, in fact, 1914 is not even when Nigeria started. Nigeria started way before 1914. And this is the problem, this is the challenge we have, that Nigerians are not lovers of their history. Because before 1914, we had the Northern Protectorate of Nigeria, and we had the Southern Protectorate of Nigeria. And those two protectorates were formed in 1900. Now, when Lord Lugard, a foreigner, an alien, brought us together, there should have been a point in our history as a people, as a community, where we question even the birth, the identity of Nigeria, even the name Nigeria. We didn't give the name Nigeria, did we? And have we agreed that that should be our name? The name Nigeria, listen, that name Nigeria was given to us by the fiancée of Lord Lugard, Flora Shaw, all right? And the word Nigeria actually means, in Latin, black. So the literal interpretation of Nigeria, the name Nigeria, is the black area. Nigeria, the black area. Have we agreed that that should be our name? I'm not saying that that name is bad. I'm just saying until we have a sense of identity. And this is the crux. This is the marrow of Nigeria's problem. Until we come to a place where we decide and we know ourselves. Remember what they say in psychology. The only way you can continue and walk in your journey is when you come to a point where you say, man, know yourself. Has Nigeria come to a point where we say, man, Nigeria, know thyself? It has never happened.
So,
and that is what...
Yeah. So, okay, so who is supposed to help us get to this point? Is it not still our political leaders that should be able to direct a focus, or all of the nationhood, our ability to be able to look our face and say, this is the hard truth, and this is where we are as a nation, and this are who we are? Or is it a function of the many tribes we have, the many languages we have in Nigeria? Is that a reason why it's seems we are not together as a country, where people talk about things from a sentimental point. I'll just bring it, give you a political narrative now. The former governor of Kano State, Kwankwaso, some days ago came out and said that the presidency of Bola Tinubu has not really done a lot of things in the north. And we saw Bayo Onanuga, SSA to the president, come out with a report stating what the government has done in the south and in the north. So when we keep having this divide of south and north, you answer this before we go for a short break. Does it help us? Is it a political issue? Or is it a social problem? How do we get to solve this problem? That's why we're talking about it today. Leadership in Nigeria, what are the prospects for the future and what are the problems? And you've just highlighted a problem that it seems we are not yet convinced of our existence together as Nigerians.
Yes. My point is this, okay? As Nigerians, we must come to a place and a point where we're discussing us as a people, where we're looking at Nigeria from the outside in. Now, let me tell you this. There are 195 countries in the world. Each of those countries have passports. Those passports give you access to nations outside your borders. Are you aware that the Nigerian passport is one of the lowest ranking passports in the whole world? Are you aware? At 90, the Nigerian passport is 10 points above the last nation, which is Afghanistan. Are you aware that countries like Chad, Niger, Benin Republic, Cameroon, countries like we Nigerians look down on, their passports are stronger than the Nigerian passport? And what's a passport? Yes, a passport gives you the right to travel internationally, to go to other countries. But the passport is a symbol of the health of your country, politically, economically, and socially. And when your passport is not healthy, and there's a perception from the outside world that Nigerians are not a people that are welcome, then there's a problem. It doesn't matter what we think about ourselves. And this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what we think about ourselves. What does the world think about Nigeria? And it's because we have not answered this question. Who and what is a Nigerian? What is our place in the community of nations? How can a country that calls itself the giant of Africa, how can a country that has the sort of massive, so-called massive GDP, all right? A country that has the most doctors, the most intellectuals, Africans all over the world. How can our passport be the lowest in Africa? Our passport, listen, Mr. Thorough, our passport is on the same level as the Somalian passport. That is Nigeria in the world. We are the level of Somalia and South Sudan. The Ghanaian passport, the Kenyan passport, the Gabonese passport, the Liberian passport, the Togolese passport. You can't even talk about the South African passport. They are way ahead of the Nigerian passport because the citizens of those countries are respected more than the Nigerian. Do you know that you, Mr. Soro, if you were to go to the embassy, American embassy, with a man from Niger, they would give the man from Niger a visa to go to America before they look at you, a Nigerian. That's the point I'm talking about.
All right, Doctor, we'll still come back. Let's go for a short break now. And when we're back, Big Talk Sunday edition continues. My name is Ubong Osoro. All right, so if you're just joining us, this is Big Talk, the Sunday edition, a program where we highlight all of the major political issues in Nigeria and try to make sense of this country, because truly this country belongs to all of us. And we have joining us that was helping us make sense of the discussion, Atta Ikedi, who was a media consultant to the former late President Muhammadu Buhari, as we discussed Nigeria's leadership. What are the prospects and what are the problems that we have in leadership in Nigeria? But let's still highlighting some of the we have. Some days ago, my colleague did a report about police protesting about pensions and gratuity. Let's listen to the report, and as we come back, we'll try to bring Atta so we could finish the conversation for tonight.
The group of retired police officers expressed displeasure over what they described as years of neglect, non-payment of pensions, and poor treatment of officers who had served the nation diligently. Suore, speaking during the protest, called on the government to recognize the sacrifices made by police officers and ensure that their welfare were prioritized.
We are saying enough is enough. It's as simple as that. We are not here to talk to their statement. We are here to talk about the well-being of these police officers, both serving, retired, dead, and their family members who deserve a better condition of service or after service. How could somebody serve this country for 35 years? 35 solid years, and they go home with 2 million naira. Some of them went home with 900,000 naira. Are you going to buy the recharge card with 900,000 naira after 35 years? So even if we don't fight for them, it will be unconscionable on our part to ignore them.
The protesters also warned that if the government failed to respond promptly, they will sustain their action until their demands were met.
I was only given paid from 2004 to 2017, and I was given 2 million naira. I become a nuisance to my family. I
cannot give you the interest. Who is deceiving you in this country? Why do the IG and co exempt themselves from the PENCO? Why? Because they know it's a bad thing. Why do they want to instigate police to become corrupt? Now it is very clear that the serving police officers now must have to be corrupt.
I need my benefit, my remaining benefit with PENCOM. Let them pay me my benefit. My remaining money, let them pay me so that I will continue training my children. I'm a widow. Even my daughter, my last daughter, she's at State University. Yesterday I branched to see her. She was crying for her rent, 250,000 I'm paying. So this 2022,000, how we start?
Security personnel were on site overseeing the protests to prevent any disruption of public order. Places beef up with armed policemen also included the National Assembly entrance to avoid breakdown of law and order. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
All right, so I'm still highlighting that here's problem, leadership problem, challenges that we have. What are the prospects and how do we, go about this? We have joining us to help make sense of this discussion live from the UK. We have a former media consultant to late former President Muhammadu Buhari, Atta Ikedi, who joined us on the show and is helping us make sense of discussion. All right, so this is a problem, Mr. Ikedi. We see police protesting for pensions, and we see we hear them protesting for gratuity, and it's across board, not just about the police. In other sectors, a lot of protests. These are people who served the country for many years, and at the end of the day, they are entitlement weren't given on time, or weren't given as much as they would have expected, looking at the difficulties in the economy in the country. So when we keep having this kind of issues, how can a young child who is growing up foster respect, foster belief, foster patriotism in a country that seems not to be able to answer questions to citizen welfare?
stars and the constellations. Our leaders are you and I. Tomorrow, Mr. Saw, you can be made the Minister for Information or Communication. Someone can just look at you and say, you know what? We like that young man. Let us make him a minister. And do you think it's that position that changes you? You think it's that responsibility that changes you? No. You are still a Nigerian. The bad habits, which I hope you don't have, and which I hope I don't have, the bad habits, the pilfering, the little things, the little unpatriotic things that we think and we feel are insignificant are the things we carry from where we are. Those little places, those little posts, those little stations of responsibility. It's those habits that we now take from where we are to where we're going. That's why Nigeria will not change. From the gate man, the Megad, when you want to see his Oga, his boss, he will ask you to bribe him. Tomorrow that Megad might become the CSO of his boss, and he's still going to continue that bad habit. Right from our civil servants in offices. You see, so the question is this. You see, when we blame our leaders and say, look, it's the fault of our leaders, the question we should ask ourselves, my brother, is this: where do these leaders come from? They come from the very community you and I. These are friends. Some of these leaders are friends and classmates that we sat with, ate with. So they're no different from you and I. And there's a possibility that if you or myself were where they are right now, we would do worse. So there must be an orientation that takes place right from nursery school. In China, for example, the Chinese child from 0 in the nursery school, they start with little children and indoctrinate them. I hate to use the word indoctrination because it sounds as if you're trying to change people's, you're trying to brainwash people. But I wish I had a better word to use. But they try to imbibe the culture, the greatness, and the tradition of the Chinese culture from 2,000 or 3,000 years ago.
Doctor, let me quickly add to that. With the ongoing economic hardship in Nigeria, how do you imbibe patriotism and culture to people who it seems the country is not favoring them? How do you speak that language? Because as a reporter who reports from the field, sometimes you even tell Nigerians about let's go to vote, let's be patriotic, you shouldn't drop this year, and people are telling you it doesn't matter. So it seems there's a correlation between poverty and economic hardship with patriotism.
Of course, because if people don't love their country, if people don't have a devotion for their country, if people don't have a nationalistic fervor for their nation, everybody just does whatever he likes. And sometimes I describe Nigeria as a nation with different nations, with this cluster of nations where all we have is just a leadership. But really we're just living our lives to survive. Everybody's hustling. Everybody in Nigeria is fighting to make his or her life better. But nobody's thinking about the nation Nigeria. Nobody. And I find that so strange. That when you're a child in Nigeria, you are born, your parents put you in school, then from primary school, secondary school, university, and then you go for youth service if you're able to get a degree, and then the next thing is get a job, and then if you're a man, you think about getting married. If you're a woman, you're thinking about who is going to marry me, and then the cycle starts all over again. At what point are we like the Israelis? At what point are we like the Americans, where we know that it's not just about us, it's also about the nation? And until our leaders, us, not just leaders where we say those are the leaders and we are the followers, until we have this collective responsibility towards our nation, then I'm sorry, we are still going to have this cycle of hardship. And let me tell you something, my brother. This hardship did not start today. We keep thinking that food crisis started today. No, I'm sorry. In the 80s, we had food crisis. I remember in the 80s, I was still in secondary school. My mother used to lock up foodstuffs in her bedroom and in cupboards. When we had SAP, the structural adjustment program, we had hardship. Was it during the Second Republic? We had hardship where when the military took over, okay, Buhari at that time was head of state, he had to import rice in ships to feed Nigerians. We had hardship. And then we had essential, what they call them, essentials, where they had to house this food, essential commodities in warehouses. And my father and my mother had to go out early in the morning with millions of Nigerians in each state. You line up, you pay some money, and you get your essential commodity, oil, sugar, salt. There was hardship.
Doctor, with the frequent trip of Nigerians abroad, the Japa syndrome, where we have young Nigerians, professionals leaving the country in search of better life, how does this affect the country going forward? And what leadership, lacuna have you seen that has led to a lot of Nigerians who keep, leaving the country in hope of a better future outside Nigeria?
Again, Japan did not start today. I don't know how old you are.
Yeah, but it didn't start today actually. But of recent, we've had a lot, because in Abuja, if we even go through some embassies that we thought that I did a report some time ago around some embassies that we didn't really used to have so much population, but as early as 8 a.m. I don't want to mention those countries now. If you go around, not the US, not the UK, you see lots of Nigerians lining up at the gates of the embassy even before 8 a.m. in the morning. So, of course, we have data too to back that there's been an increase in, especially young Nigerians leaving the country. The presidency has also responded to that.
Ms. Usoro, let me tell you something. In the 80s, I think, in secondary school or university. The Japa syndrome was so bad in the 80s that the government had to do an advert. In fact, those days they used to call it Andrew. I don't know. You ask your uncles or your aunties, or ask your parents. They used to call it Andrew. The people that used to travel out of Nigeria were called Andrews. It was so bad that the government had to do an ad on Andrew every evening. NTA News, telling Nigerians, don't be the next Andrew to leave the country. Is it that bad now? Have you seen an ad? Have you seen a government ad telling Nigerians not to go out?
Nigerians are not leaving, young professionals are not leaving the country.
Listen, Usoro, this is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
We have a problem with our memory in this country. And I call it a collective amnesia, where we tend to forget that these things that we're passing through, this is not the first time. We've been through worse situations. All right? Now, I am not saying that there isn't a crisis in the country that is constricting the young people to leave. That's not my point. But my point is this is not the first time this is happening. But the question is, why is it happening?
Yeah.
It is happening because we still have not answered the question. What is Nigeria? Listen, young people just want direction. Young people want to have a sense that they are going somewhere. They are getting somewhere. A young person wants to know, look, I've started a journey and I'm going to end up a lawyer. I'm going to end up a doctor. I'm going to end up an engineer. I'm going to end up in a school somewhere where I graduate. Now, when a young person does not see that prospect, he's going to want to leave to where he feels or thinks he has the opportunity. That is the Japa syndrome. The young person is not just running out of the country for running out's sake. No. The young person does not see a future. And it is in youth that people dream. And when you find out that your dream is being quenched, the fire of that dream, you wake up in the morning, you look at the wall in your room, you're sleeping on this mattress, and you're asking yourself, what am I still doing here? You've not had your first meal for the day. You're thinking, who am I going to text now and say, look, please, I just need 2,000 naira for a meal that will last me from today to tomorrow. Nobody wants to go through that sort of life.
Yeah, still adding to that so that we can end up concluding the thoughts. Do you think it's a problem about recycling old politicians, or are you seeing a new breed of young Nigerians coming to take the reign of leadership? Can that be a solution, Doctor?
How can that be a solution? How can that be a solution? Look at all the troubles we're having now in the legislature. Are they not young politicians? I don't want to name names. Look at the problems we've had even in leadership. Governors, are they not young politicians? I don't want to name names. Look at the politicians below 50. We call them young in Nigeria, from 30 to 40. These are the people that have embarrassed our democracy. The problem is not the young politicians. The problem is
let me add this so that we will answer as the last question. So are you looking, people have projected a restructuring and maybe regional autonomy. Can that be a problem as the last answer? You could just add all of it together. Regional autonomy and restructuring of the country. Is that a solution?
Nigeria started with a regional system of government that was going very well. Very well. I mean, regions were like countries, they were like nations. Okay, I mean, the Western region, for example, under Awolowo, entered a bilateral agreement with Israel and brought in Israeli expertise in education and agriculture in Western Nigeria. But then we had the coup of January 15th that stopped all that. Nigeria was doing well as a region. The issue is not more states. I mean, some of these states cannot even sustain themselves economically. And you want more states? The issue is not more states. It's like dividing a cancer cell. How can you divide a cancer cell? The question is, are the states healthy enough to be divided or to multiply? And the answer is no. Until we answer the fundamental question, who and what is a Nigerian? Where is Nigeria going? What is the Nigeria's place in the Committee of Nations? Okay, what is Nigeria's mission in the world? Until we answer that question, Nigeria, I'm sorry, is going nowhere. Thank you.
I have just a minute to close the show now, Doctor. I'd like to ask in 30 seconds, who, like you keep mentioning, who is a Nigerian? Let me get to know that, the final words on the program. Who is a Nigerian? Dr. Atai Kedu, former media consultant to former late President Muhammadu Buhari, joining us live on Big Talk from the United Kingdom. Who is a Nigerian, Doctor?
A Nigerian, first of all, is a citizen of the biggest and greatest black nation on earth. 1 out of every 4 black man and woman in the world is a Nigerian. And you ask yourself, was that a coincidence or a design? That Nigeria is the most populated black nation in the world. We represent the black race.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Atta Ikedi. We have to go now. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and we hope to have you on the show again. And when we reach out, please do come on, because your wealth of experience and knowledge, a lot to actually learn from you. Thank you so much, Dr. Atta Ikedi, former media consultant to former late President Muhammadu Buhari. Thank you for coming on Big Talk tonight. And people, that's the size of our program for you. I do hope you have a wonderful Sunday and enjoy yourself. My name is Ubong Osoro. Bye for now.